Let me start by saying something very clearly to everyone watching this video today. If you are a United States citizen, if you hold a green card, if you are waiting for an immigration decision, or if you have family members going through the immigration process right now, I want you to take a slow breath with me. I know that over the past few days, your phone has probably been filled with headlines screaming about visa pauses, frozen applications, and countries being blocked. I know that some of those headlines have been designed to create panic, to make you click, to make you feel like the entire immigration system has suddenly collapsed overnight. And I am here today not to add to that noise, but to help you understand what is actually happening, who is truly affected, and most importantly, why the vast majority of people watching this video right now are likely not in the danger zone that social media wants you to believe you are in. My goal today is not to scare you. My goal is not to make predictions about what might happen next month or next year. My goal is to take the legal reality of this situation, strip away the hype and explain it to you the way I would explain it to my own family members if they called me worried and confused. So let us walk through this together, slowly and carefully, because when it comes to immigration law, the details matter more than the headlines ever will. Before I go any further, I do need to say this in a very human way. Everything I am sharing with you today is for informational and educational purposes. I am not your attorney, and this video does not create any kind of legal relationship between us. If you have a specific case that is causing you concern right now, please reach out to a qualified immigration attorney who can look at your individual circumstances. What I can do here is give you a framework, a way of understanding what is happening, so that you can make informed decisions and not be driven by fear. So let us talk about what actually happened this week. The headlines are talking about a visa pause affecting dozens of countries, with some reports saying 75 countries or more. The word pause is important here, and I want you to hold on to that word for a moment. This is not a permanent ban. This is not a shutdown of the entire immigration system. What we are seeing is a temporary hold on the issuance of certain types of immigrant visas from specific countries, while the U.S. government conducts what they are calling enhanced vetting procedures. Now, I know that does not make it any less stressful if you or someone you love is from one of those countries and has been waiting for a visa interview or a visa approval. But it is crucial that we understand the scope and the nature of what is happening, because understanding the truth is the first step toward managing your anxiety and making smart decisions. Let me be very clear about something that I think is getting lost in all of the noise. If you are already in the United States and you hold a valid green card, this pause does not affect your status. If you are a U.S. citizen, obviously this does not affect you directly. If you are in the United States on a valid work visa, a student visa, or another temporary status that was granted before this pause, you are not being told to leave. This is primarily affecting people who are outside of the United States right now and who are waiting for immigrant visas to be issued by U.S. consulates and embassies abroad. That is a very specific group of people, and while I absolutely understand that if you are in that group, this feels enormous and personal and terrifying, I also want the rest of you watching to understand that this is not affecting every single person in the immigration system. Now let us talk about why this is happening, because I think understanding the stated reason helps us put this into context. The government has said that this pause is about security vetting, about making sure that the individuals who are being granted immigrant visas have been properly screened. They have pointed to concerns about certain countries not cooperating fully with information sharing or not having reliable documentation systems. I am not here to debate whether those concerns are valid or exaggerated. What I am here to tell you is that from a legal standpoint, the executive branch of the U.S. government has broad authority when it comes to immigration enforcement and visa issuance. Courts have historically been very reluctant to second-guess the executive branch on these matters, especially when national security is invoked as a reason. That does not mean these policies cannot be challenged, and it does not mean they will last forever. But it does mean that in the short term, this is something that is within the government's power to do. Let me also address something that I have seen all over social media and in comment sections everywhere. People are asking, does this mean my green card application is going to be denied? Does this mean I will never get my visa? Does this mean the government is going to start deporting people who are already here? And I want to say this as clearly and as calmly as I possibly can. A pause is not the same thing as a denial. A pause means that the processing has been temporarily stopped so that additional checks can be done. It is frustrating, it is stressful, and yes, it creates uncertainty. But it does not automatically mean that your case is doomed. In most cases, what we are looking at here is a delay, not a permanent rejection. I know that when you have been waiting for months or even years already, the idea of another delay feels unbearable. I understand that. But I also want you to hold on to the fact that the immigration system, even in the best of times, is slow. It is bureaucratic. It is full of waiting periods and unexplained silences. What is happening right now is an intensification of that slowness, not necessarily a fundamental change in whether you will eventually get your visa. Now, I want to talk about due process for a moment because this is something that gets overlooked when people are panicking. The U.S. immigration system, for all of its flaws, does have procedural protections built into it. If your visa application is denied, you have a right to know why. You have a right to appeal certain decisions. You have a right to provide additional evidence or documentation. The system is not designed to be arbitrary, even though it can feel that way sometimes. So if you are someone who is currently caught in this pause, my advice to you is to stay organized, keep copies of everything you have submitted, and be ready to respond quickly if and when the consulate or embassy reaches out to you with additional requests. Do not assume the worst. Do not give up. But also, do be realistic about the fact that this may take longer than you hoped. I also want to address the emotional side of this because I think that is what is really driving so much of the anxiety right now. Immigration is not just a legal process. It is a deeply personal and emotional journey. It is about families being separated. It is about people who have left everything behind to build a new life. It is about hope and sacrifice and years of waiting. And when something like this happens, when you see a headline that says visas are frozen, it feels like all of that hope is being taken away from you. I want you to know that I see that, I understand that, and I want to remind you that you are not alone in this. There are millions of people going through the immigration system right now, and the vast majority of them are good people who are following the rules and doing everything they are supposed to do. You are not doing anything wrong by wanting a better life for yourself and your family. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a human being with dignity and worth, and you deserve to be treated that way. Let me also say this, because I think it is important. The immigration system has always been subject to political changes. Policies shift with administrations. Rules get tightened or loosened depending on who is in power. This is not the first time we have seen temporary pauses or increased scrutiny, and it will not be the last. What that means for you as someone navigating this system is that you have to be flexible and resilient. You have to be prepared for things to take longer than you expected. You have to be ready to adapt to new requirements or new procedures. That is the reality of immigration law, and I wish I could tell you otherwise, but I cannot. What I can tell you is that the system, slow and imperfect as it is, does continue to function. People do still get their visas. Families do still get reunited. Green cards do still get approved. It just takes time, and sometimes it takes more time than we would like. So what should you do if you are watching this video and you are worried about how this pause might affect you? First, if you have an immigration attorney, reach out to them. Let them know about your specific situation and ask them what they recommend. If you do not have an attorney and you think you need one, now might be a good time to look into that. Second, stay informed, but be careful about where you are getting your information. Not every headline is accurate. Not every social media post is based on facts. Stick to official sources like the U.S. Department of State website or USCIS announcements. Third, keep all of your documentation organized and up to date. If you are asked to provide additional information or attend an interview, you want to be ready to respond quickly and completely. And fourth, take care of yourself emotionally. This process is hard, and it is okay to feel stressed or scared or frustrated. Talk to people who understand what you are going through. Lean on your support system. Do not let this consume every moment of your day if you can help it. I want to close by coming back to where we started. The headlines this week have been dramatic. They have been designed to get your attention, and they have succeeded. But the reality, as is so often the case with immigration law, is more nuanced than the headlines suggest. Yes, there is a pause affecting immigrant visas from certain countries. Yes, that is going to cause delays and stress for people who are waiting. But no, this is not the end of the immigration system. No, this does not mean everyone's case is going to be denied. And no, this does not mean that people who are already in the United States legally need to panic. For the majority of you watching this video, the most important thing you can do right now is stay calm, stay informed, and stay patient. The immigration journey has never been easy, and it has never been fast, but it is still a journey that millions of people complete successfully every single year. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you would share it with anyone you know who might be worried or confused about what is happening right now. And if you have thoughts or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I read them, and I do my best to respond when I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.